How do you measure love? This is the one question that grieves my mind as the passion of Christ draws closer to the cross. The palms that welcome Jesus during his triumphant entry into Jerusalem have given way to the cross that condemned him. The air is rent with the baying sound of the mob shouting, "Crucify him!" The footsteps of the soldiers coming to arrest Jesus have grown more audible. The hour of the cross is painfully close. Yet, in the midst of all that, one thought occupied the mind of Jesus. He wants to live with his apostles and humanity at large, a parting gift. So what did he do? Jesus takes one last opportunity away from the crowd and the maddening noise to eat with his closest friends and to share with them his final wish. It was a full house and the venue was at the upper room. It must have been a merry night with wine, bread, and possibly other delicacies. The apostles must have been in high spirits, chattering and laughing as the meal continued. Then, mid-meal, without anyone expecting any drama, Jesus did something powerful and unforgettable. He got up and took off his outer garment. He was now looking like a servant. What was he up to? Wait for it. Slowly, Jesus started walking his way around the room, washing feet one by one, washing their dirty, grimy feet. The startled apostles were swept off their feet by such a gesture. They could not process the strange drama unfolding before them. Simon Peter, always quick to act, put up a protest. "Never shall you wash my feet." Peter's protest must have captured the way the rest of the apostles felt over the action of Jesus. However, Jesus was determined to do what he was doing. He told Peter, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." This dramatic turn in what would have gone down in history as any ordinary night in the lives of Jesus and his apostles has bequeathed the world the most powerful legacy. It is the legacy of love. Mandatum novum. A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you. This is where the ceremony of today got its name as Maundy Thursday. Jesus made the night of his Last Supper special and memorable by demonstrating the love for his apostles in the most dramatic way. It is worth noting that up until this point in the Gospel of John, the author has never stated explicitly that Jesus loved his disciples. We all know that verse in John 3:16, where Jesus talks about God's love for the entire world. But on this night, in this moment, things all of a sudden get profoundly personal. It is not about the world. It is not about Israel. It is not about the person sitting next to you. It is about you. Why was this profession of love important to Jesus? I think the answer is this. Jesus knows that the months to come will not be easy for his apostles. He knows that the mission he is asking them to embark on will require they remember something special. It will require they know that they are loved. Soon enough, they will be called to go out into the world like sheep among wolves. They will be called to go love the unlovable. They will be sent on a mission that could end in their persecution. For some of them, it will. He knows they need this moment. In fact, he knows the mission will only be possible if they have this moment. Therefore, the apostles needed to grasp the depth of this love that says, "Just as I have loved you." Now, the question is, how did Jesus love them? At the very start of the story, in John chapter 13, verse 1, John writes, "Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end." That statement might better translate, he loved them fully or to the utmost. He loved them to the greatest possible extent. It is less a statement about time and more a statement about depth. A statement about how far this love would actually reach into a person's life. What does it look like to love a person like that? Part of what is so special about this night, in the middle of all the chaos, is that Jesus pauses to make it very clear that he loves them. Later on that night, Jesus will tell the group that one of you is going to betray me. He was talking about Judas. But apparently, Judas wasn't the obvious choice. John writes that his disciples stared at one another at a loss to know which of them he meant. Often, I will read that line and my tendency is to think the disciples were confused and looking around because they are all sure it won't be them. They are all sure they are not the ones who are going to turn their backs on Jesus. As I was reading that passage this week, I couldn't help but think, what if they are confused because deep down they are all wondering the same thing? Is it me? Deep down they are asking, am I the one? Does he know about the things I have done? Does he know about my doubts? Did he find out about that secret addiction? Has he heard about that thing from my past that I have such deep regrets and shame over? Does he know the places my thoughts sometimes drift? Places I will be so ashamed if anyone else found out. Is it me? For many of us, our greatest fear is that we will be found out, that our dirty, grimy feet will be exposed. The fear is not just the exposure, but that such exposure will leave us unloved. Perhaps this is why when it is Peter's turn to have his feet washed, he puts up a fight. He insists that Jesus stay away. He says, you shall never wash my feet. Jesus tells Peter, I have to wash your feet. It won't make sense to you right now, but in a few days, it will. It will become clearer. In a few days, when you are at your lowest moment, Peter, in a few days, when you have denied knowing me, your friend and teacher, in a few days, when you are feeling more ashamed than you have ever felt in your life, in a few days, when you feel alone and unworthy of love, you will be glad I washed their feet. You will need this moment here, when the worst of you was exposed and you were loved in that place. You will need this moment where you know I love all of you, not just your clean hands or your presentable face, but all of you, not just your achievements and your intellect and your witness. I love all of that, but I love your feet. See, that is fully loving. That is loving to the greatest possible extent. That is loving to the end. So Jesus says to Peter, give me those feet. Let me wash them. I bet each of the disciples had a moment that night when they knew they were loved. I wonder even if Judas, the infamous betrayer, had a moment in which he realized Jesus loved him to the very core. He loved even the conflicted, contradictory, misled parts of him with this extraordinary love. Do you know that love? There is an author by the name Brennan Manning who writes about God's love this way. He says, Jesus came not only for those who skip morning meditation, but also for real sinners, thieves, adulterers, and terrorists, for those caught up in squally choices and failed dreams, to the worst of the worst, to the one beyond hope, to you and to me. He says, give me those dirty feet. Do you know that love? The command Jesus gives that night is great, and it will change the world. Go out and love, just as I have loved you. Before this command is about others, it is also about you. Before you can replicate that love others, it has to be for you, just as I have loved you. Do you know that love? Between the commotion and the celebration of Palm Sunday and the noise and celebration of Easter, let things get profoundly personal. Let yourself be loved with a love that shakes up the ordinary, a love that loves to the utmost, a love that reaches deep into all the shadows and contradictions and loves in that place. Think about this moment in your own life. When was the last time you allowed someone to serve you in your vulnerability? When have you resisted like Peter because you felt unworthy or ashamed? Jesus' radical act reminds us that true love doesn't wait for worthiness. It creates it through acceptance. His washing of feet wasn't just about cleanliness. It was about communion, about creating sacred space where vulnerability meets grace. In our modern world, we often measure love by what we receive: gifts, attention, praise, but Jesus inverts this understanding completely. He measures love by what one is willing to give, how far one is willing to go, how low one is willing to kneel. The King of Kings on his knees with a basin and towel. This is the portrait of love that changes everything. And consider this. Jesus washed Judas's feet too, the betrayer's feet, the one whose action will lead to his crucifixion. This is love that transcends logic. Love that doesn't calculate risk or rewards. That is divine love. Lavish, extravagant, seemingly wasteful. It is given even when rejected, extended even when betrayed. How do you measure love? Love is measured by the self-sacrifice of the cross. Love is measured by the life-giving body and blood of Christ in the Eucharist. By this, we know love, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. But love is also measured in the simple, humble actions we take each day. It is measured in the moments when we choose to serve rather than to be served, when we wash metaphorical feet through forgiveness, patience, and kindness. It is measured when we kneel before those society has cast aside and say through our actions, you matter, you are worthy of love. As we leave this sacred space tonight, we carry with us both a profound gift and a challenging command. We have been loved to the end, completely, without reservation, in our best moments and our worst moments. And now we are called to do the same, to wash feet, to break bread, to pour out our lives as an offering for the good of others. Tonight, we don't just commemorate a historical event, we participate in it. The basin and the towel are with us. The bread and the wine call to us. The world needs this love, this radical, transformative, foot washing love that only we, as Christ's hands and feet on earth, can offer. How will you measure love? By how much you have received or by how much you have given away? As we journey through the triduum, from this upper room to the cross and to the empty tomb, may we discover anew what it means to be loved to the end and what it means to love others the same way. May God bless his word in your heart. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.